Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch of Bouncer, a cricket book with a difference. Today, we will hear about one man's fight against injustice and corruption in the face of persecution and betrayal, and his courage against all odds. It is fitting that on this occasion, we are surrounded by many luminaries who rose to the highest levels in their fields, along with guests from sporting and entertainment spheres. It is also appropriate that this launch is taking place at the Bombay Gymkhana, which was not only the venue for the first test played in India, but also the location where the creation of the Bombay Cricket Association was first mooted. I first request Mr. Sudesh Hinglaspurkar, trustee of the Publishers Granthali, to escort our chief guest, Justice J N Patel, and join him on the stage. I now request Mr. Mandrekar to escort Mr. Aga Hussain, president of the Bombay Gymkhana, and to join him on the stage. We are all honored by the presence of Justice Patel, a former Chief Justice of the Calcutta High Court, as our chief guest today. Justice Patel was appointed as a judge in the City Civil Court in 1987 and was appointed the designated judge in the Tada Court, a special court constituted for the trial in the aftermath of the 93 Bombay bomb blast case. He became an additional judge of the Bombay High Court in 1996 and then a permanent judge in 1997, before later becoming the acting Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court. In 2010, Justice Patel was appointed the Chief Justice of the Calcutta High Court by the President of India and retired from the judiciary in 2012. Since then, he has also served as the head of the Judicial Commission assigned for fact-finding around the Bhima-Koregaon violence in 2018. Please join me in giving Justice Patel a warm welcome. With Justice Patel on the dais are Mr. Sudesh Hinglaspurkar, a trustee of the publishing house Granthali, a trust best known for being formed to make books available to readers at affordable prices, and Mr. Aga Hussain, former captain of India Rugby and later president of Asia Rugby, and also the current president of Bombay Gymkhana. Also gracing us with their presence in the audience are some Indian sporting stars who will join us in launching this book. Mr. K. Jayantilal, who opened for India in Test cricket and was member of the 1971 squad that was victorious in their tour of the West Indies. He scored over 4,000 runs for Hyderabad and has 800s. Mr. Suresh Shastri, a left-arm spinner and all-rounder who played for Rajasthan and later became a renowned international umpire. Mr. Kishen Narsi, former boxer and boxing referee who has officiated in 3 Olympics and other events such as the World Boxing Championships and Commonwealth and Asia Games. And Mr. Nalin Patel, international billiards player who has been playing the game for over 30 years and has won bronze medals in 3 World Championships. And now a word about the author. He is known to his acquaintances as Mr. Mandrekar, to his Gymkhana club mates as Mandrake, to his friends and family as Ravi, to his detractors as that white-haired man who asks uncomfortable questions, but to a select few of us, we call him Papa. A structural engineer by profession, what actually runs through his veins is cricket. He was a player at school, college, IIT Bombay, where he did his M.Tech in structural engineering, and in various leagues in Mumbai cricket, as well as for this very club. Not just satisfied with playing, he has been on the managing committees of the Mumbai Cricket Association and of Bombay Gymkhana too, as well as serving a term as the president of PJ Hindu Gymkhana. It has been my privilege to be a part of his life, as he has always crusaded against injustice and unfairness from any positions of authority. So please join me in welcoming the author, my father, Ravi Mandrekar. I would now like to request Mr. Aga Hussain to say a few words, please.
And of course, I'm privileged to be sitting with Ravi Mandrekar. Bombay Gymkhana has a great history of sport. What is surprising is every time we have a function, whether it's cricket or any other sport, we keep discovering more and more incidents that have taken place in the past. Members who've been here for the last 50 years still keep recounting of various different incidents that have happened here. We just got to know that the first meeting of the Bombay Presidency, which eventually became BCA and now MCA, was actually held at the Bombay Gymkhana and at the initiation of the president of that time. It's just marvelous how, you keep discovering all this, and therefore it's only apt that, events like this are held at the Bombay Gymkhana. So I'm so glad that Ravi decided to have his book launch here. All of you know Ravi. I came to know Ravi much later. Like mentioned by his lovely son there, at every AGM we saw Ravi stand up and ask some very, very, daring questions. And as a member in the general body, one would notice and say, oh yes, there is somebody, who has the interest of members at heart. I came to know Ravi later on as a member of the managing committee. I grew quite close to him because I actually saw that this gentleman has a lethal combination, absolutely lethal combination. And that is, one, that his knowledge is extremely, extremely vast. And number two, if he takes on something, then he's not going to let go of it. And he always stood for the right causes. So that's something I really admired in him, and that brought me close to him. So I'm so glad once again to say, Ravi, thank you very much for hosting this here, and I'm sure everybody will agree with that.
Thank you, Mr. Hussain. Mr. Hinglaspurkar, could you please say a couple of words about your trust publishing house? Thank you.
Namaskar. Distinguished guests on the dais and friends, I take pleasure to welcome you all for this book release function. We are pleased to have Honorable Justice Mr. J N Patel as a chief guest, and the book will be released at his hands. I am sure that he will put forth his views out of the book. Author Ravi Mandrekar will be interviewed by Mr. Kasar that would tell us his thoughts behind writing this book. Under the circumstances, I would not like to speak about this book. Instead, I would like to talk about Granthali. Granthali is a registered public trust. Our motto is to spread knowledge and to boost reading habit. We have established in 1974. In past 46 years, we have published more than 1,200 books titles in Marathi. We also publish Shabdaruchi monthly magazine. We observe 20 December as a Readers' Day, which is the get-together of authors and readers, where we also publish new books and organize some cultural function. Granthali has organized more than 300 book exhibitions all over Maharashtra till today. It is a well-known platform for new ideas and thoughts. I believe that Ravi Mandrekar Bouncer is thought-provoking book. I appeal to buy this book at discounted price of ₹300. Once again, I welcome to you all. Thank you.
Mr. Hinglaspurkar, could you please also present mementos to guests on the in the audience? First, Mr. Jayantilal. To Mr. Sudesh Shastri. Mr. Kishan Narsi. And Mr. Nalin Patel. And now we would like to officially launch the book, Bouncer. So, Mr. Hinglaspurkar and Mr. Mandrekar. Thank you. And now I would request our Honorable Chief Guest, Justice Patel, to say a few words to mark this occasion.
Mr. President, all eminent distinguished members of Bombay Gymkhana, Granthali, and of course, Mr. Ravi Mandrekar, who brought us all together this evening, and my sister Mridula Bhadkar, who is also a lover of cricket. Well, friends, it was a surprise to me when Mr. Ravi Mandrekar approached me that I should release the book. The first thing I asked him was, let me have a manuscript with me. Otherwise, you don't know. If you are releasing something, you are accountable for it. And when I read the manuscript and the way my signatures are taken on the back, I'll have no defense if I am lifted after the function. Well, friends, I just jotted down few points. I'll not take much of your time. The book reflects his personality. And that is what I have jotted down. After reading the book, I have not read it. I will love to read it again and again to know how things happen. And being a judge, I have come across thousands of cases in all public fields where this thing is a practice. And well, we don't know who is responsible for it. But what I found, Mr. Ravi Mandrekar, while reading this book, that is The Bouncer, and I felt that the real secret of the book lies in the fact that Ravi is writing these meditations to himself and to himself alone, not to you or me or to any of the many thousands of us who over the centuries carried the game of cricket with them. Well, he is expressing to himself what he is trying and inwardly questioning through his own awakened attention in the present moment. I have taken down from his introduction, I quote, he has stated that for battles in public life, not the winning or losing, but standing up against wrongdoing is what counts. The next part which I liked was, the book in particular portrays the gradual decay in the working of the Mumbai Cricket Association, witnessed from close quarters during a period of 35 years from 1987 to 2022. It's really very, very interesting. I suggest that there is yet another secret in these writings, a secret within the secret. I believe we can detect something in this book that is quite rare when handling the subject of cricket, a gentleman's game with the scale of corruption. It seems clear to me that he is writing, Ravi Mandrekar is often intensely and carefully watching his own thoughts and impulses with a sincerity and power of attention that is much more difficult to attain than we may imagine. That, as I say, is a part of the secret of this book. But the secret within the secret lies in the fact that such self-expression of the inner search at the same time awakens and guides the attention of the reader to his or her own thoughts and impulses. And just as in these instances, Ravi Mandrekar is seeking to experience from within himself the higher attention of what he calls bouncer. As too, the sensitive reader begins to listen for the same final life within his own psyche. Ravi Mandrekar has learned from his grandparents about nobility of character and a steady temper, from his reputation and his modesty and strength, from his mother, devotion to the God's generosity, and that one should turn away not only from hurtful actions, but even from the very thought of them. Also simplicity in one's way of living, far removed from the self-indulgent ways of the wealthy. One might apply to him what was said of Socrates, that he is able to abstain from these things which most people are too weak to abstain from, and enjoy what most people cannot enjoy without excesses. But to be strong and persistent in each case is characteristics of someone who has perfect and incorrigible soul. Whenever you find time, read this book. You are going to encounter people who are ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and hostile to say the least, corrupt. I think this sufficiently introduced you to the book, and as a person invited to release it is enough to send a curiosity of thought in you. And I am very sure that today evening you will spend your night, rather than watching serials on the TV, reading this book. Thank you very much.
Good evening all. I'm here mainly as a fan of cricket and someone who has basically I started playing cricket on that field under the stewardship of Mr. Mandrekar, and I'm really excited to be here. Also, this is a very apt occasion. I mean, other than the fact that it is the place where the MCA, BCA was formed, which is the Bombay Gym, but also this is a book about someone who is speaking their mind, speaking truth to power, and it is apt because today we also remember another person who did do exactly that, Mr. Dilip Sardesai, and it is a special day that we remember him, and that's why today is also a special day for this book launch to happen, where we do speak truth to power, which is an incredibly important time in our age today. So now, getting to the book. To start with, when you said you're releasing a book called Bouncer, as a cricket fan, I was very excited because I thought it would be full of cricket stories. And then I received the book. And it is an incredible journey through pretty much all that is rotten in the state of Mumbai cricket. And I wanted to ask, what prompted you to write this and put this all down in such a detailed kind of way?
Actually, the thought was put into my mind by Anandji Dosa about 30 to 40 years back. Once he came to my office. He was probably 20 years senior to me. I said, why, Anandji bhai, you came, you should have called me. But he said that Professor Changadkar has written history of Mumbai cricket of 25 years since inception, and Gujarati press tells me that only you can write next 25 years history. That was at the back of my mind. When I was in MCA, then I realized over the period, the media attention has gone out from the transparency values, etc., and they don't report. Similarly, even government agencies, they do not take cognizance of any irregularity. Forget offense. There are offenses committed, but no government authority takes note of this. So I thought that I must document what I saw. And believe me, whatever I have written, I have at least one full room of documents to back whatever I have written. And I thought to myself that I must tell to people untold story. I took that name from Brigadier Kaul, who wrote a book called Untold Story. I thought I must put that into black and white, which will be useful probably for the next generation, or maybe some people will write bouncer, second bouncer, which if Shastri allows, per over.
That's absolutely true, because for someone like me who's a fan of Mumbai cricket and plays on the Maidans but doesn't really have any real thing, the book is an eye-opener. We don't realize how much goes on behind the scenes and how much money is involved, and a lot of the care and the detail in the recording of the book. How did you remember all of this? Because 35 years of very, very detailed numbers and things like that. And I know there's a little bit of a addendum at the end of the book, an appendix which goes on for about 6 or 8 pages. But you've kept all of that, and it's almost like it's a different kind of archive in itself.
Everything I have written is backed by document. Anything you can ask me, I can take it out. Right from 1989 Inquiry Committee report, where I was a member of the Inquiry Committee to investigate a scam in tickets and contracts of World Cup 1987. Incidentally, that was the first World Cup held in India. So I've written from that time onwards every paper which I received as a managing committee member or as a general body member. I have reports from 1989, all balance sheets, all annual reports of Mumbai Cricket Association till the last meeting when the circulated annual report was 19th March 2022. So I refer to that. I wrote this book 8 times. First just out what appeared in my mind. Next I tried to perfect. Next I saw whether what I am saying, why should people believe? And then I should have backup papers. So I created 20 files with 1 file each for a chapter. So I am fortunate that I had a space to keep this document. So that is how it is.
So before we get into all the scams and stuff, you mentioned this in the book and it's really interesting, but how did your connection with the MCA start? Because it seems like a fluke.
Literally, you may not believe, but it's an accident. After 1987 World Cup, soon after that, Wankhede sir was president and a creator of this stadium expired, unfortunately, in 1988. If I remember the date correctly, it was 31st January 1988. He was a very powerful man and who everybody respected, and sheer out of respect everybody was taking everything what was happening, and people behind his back were not so honest. So after his death, news started coming in the papers after the audit had started, and I used to read those news which appeared in generally in Marathi papers, also sometimes in Times of India, and I had a curiosity. That news was very, very interesting. So I just decided to attend a meeting, general body meeting, which I was not eligible to attend. I just went to, out of curiosity, see the fun. Nobody thought that I would not be a member. They thought I was a member of the general body and nobody objected. The first question came before the general body was a contract of advertisement where the agency did not pay money and they were allowed to advertise. People were furious. On the top of it, agency had given 2 checks which were bounced. And instead of using those bounce check to recover the rest of the money or all the money, they were returned. So people were more furious. And when it was discussed in general body, I couldn't stand. I just got up actually and stood up and said, if I find that because of the negligence of the members of the managing committee, I will sue each and every managing committee member and recover this money because they are jointly and severally responsible. That had an effect probably on the general body. After that, there were a lot of irregularities, I would say, in contracts were also discussed, and general body insisted that we will not pass accounts. We must have inquiry committee, and there were 3 from the managing committee and 2 nominated by general body, and I got nominated because probably what I said had an effect on the members.
So you touched on the kinds of things that happen and the kinds of scams. I mean, it's gone into quite detail in the book. But for example, one of the recurring scams that seems to keep coming back is this ticketing scam and this, I mean, from all the way from the 87 World Cup to the, 2011 World Cup to the 2022, 21-22 matches. My question is, like, a part of that, and in the book that you cover it, is the giving of complimentaries and the taking advantage of complimentaries by members who are in power and stuff. So my real question is, when you give complimentary tickets to the police or to, to certain dignitaries or things like that over and above, but I think a lot of us think, isn't that the way you do business in Bombay? Isn't that the way we function, where you have to keep the powers happy? So just wanted to know, what are your thoughts, and why is that such a big deal? Because I think that's really important for a lot of us to understand.
I will go as a flashback. What I found in 2019 international match and 2020, played within span of 2 months, 600 complimentary free passes were given to police. During World Cup 2011, 122 passes were given to high-ranking officers in police. Now I will go back. What happened to me? When I complained about the irregularities, it was open and shut case. Whereas they had paid 2 lakhs of rupees for hiring a generator set for 5 days, for 1 day, you would think that they would pay 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. But you will not imagine that they paid 14 lakhs. 2 lakhs for 5 days, 14 lakhs for 1 day. 5 lakhs for day and night match in 2015, 21 lakhs in 2011 in March. Within 15 days, that 21 lakhs became 35 lakhs. So I took down everything for 10 years. I complained to police. Police refused to even take down my complaint. No FIR were launched. And thanks to, here we have in audience a great criminal lawyer present. Under his advice, I appealed to DCP. DCP was telling me, why the hell you came here without appointment? I have to fight there also, say that I have a right to come between 4 and 6 without appointment. Yet I have come with appointment. I have come 3 times with appointment, and you don't want to meet me. I am not coming to your cabin. You come out and meet me. I waited here after appointment for 2 hours. 3rd time, he had to come and said, I have not come for favor. You think, I know why you are not giving attention. After 1 month of complaint, if it doesn't, people don't take action, the inspector doesn't take action, I can report to you. So I have come here only to complete legality. I don't want any help from you. I don't want any courtesy from you. He was South Zone DCP. And then I complained to, I think, in Esplanade Court. And I can say that I am proved right. not because I am saying it, but magistrate of court number 8 passed in the order that I cannot understand when police has not found any flaw in the complaint. All the facts reported in the complaint, they have verified and found to be true. They have not investigated the matter, and yet on what basis they say no offense is committed. So my view is endorsed by magistrate. Now when police do these things, you can't even take lying down just because police do it. To stand up, somebody has to stand up. Otherwise, generally I find sitting in the AC room with a glass of beer in hand, we say this fellow is corrupt, that person is corrupt, we keep on blaming. But when my turn comes up, I keep quiet. Every time say, what I can do alone. There I remember Rabindranath Tagore, his famous poem, which is made famous by not only Kishore Kumar but also by Amitabh Bachchan, Ekla Chalo Re. So I believe in that because my father and mother were freedom fighters. There was a slogan during that time, if you come along, with you. If you don't come along, I will go alone. So this is principle I followed.
Apparently I have to move away from you. There's nothing to do with the scam.
I hope you don't want to keep distance from me.
So one of the interesting things is early on in the book you talk about the MCA gaining an asset, which is the Wankhede Stadium, and how that was so important within the economics of keeping Mumbai cricket going, and how that money happened. A ticket, was a great source of revenue to the association and therefore to the larger game of cricket in this city. So there's a question, given that today with the advent of television and advertising and all of that, I mean, there's a lovely statistic that you've put, which is, I think a ticket for a test match was 50 rupees at one point in the book, and now that same ticket is worth 10 or 15,000 rupees across. But one of the questions I had is that is still tickets and all of, is that still a major source of revenue for the MCA, or has that shifted into other things and other ways?
If you want figures, test match, hardly 25% stadium is occupied. Of course, revenue is important. Whatever revenue you get adds to your kitty. But test match is a real cricket, and which association conducts these matches is not that profitable. But today association is not bothered about tickets, because they get, if I can quote figure, 48 crores from BCCI as a grant for the rights which has been received by BCCI. They distribute that to every association. Those 48 crores plus at least 25 to 30 crores they get from IPL, whatever they get when they distribute, which means that without even playing a single match here, association gets 70-80 crores. Actually, this is today, but I remember in 1996, Haryana refused to conduct World Cup. Can you imagine? Because they knew even if we don't conduct, we are going to receive grant from BCCI. So in 1990 World Cup, Haryana did not conduct a single match, and yet they were given the subsidy because they are member of BCCI. So that is very important. One day, and T20, of course, there is a crowd. People want to see, is a instant cricket. Everything today has to be instant. People have no time to spend watching test match. Maybe all said and done. Today, therefore, tickets are important for the association, but I am sad to say passes have become more important to the organizers, because by distributing free passes, they can buy people, police, authorities. Even I can tell you, Charity Commissioner does not entertain any complaint. I have told you police don't entertain. And in addition to that, there is a very good way of creating a vote bank by distributing passes. In once only World Cup, such one pass was sold and there was an inquiry by one Gymkhana when one pass was sold for 1,25,000. It is reported in Midday as well. So today, and pass is not audited. Number of passes also should have been audited, but no auditor accounts for passes. How many passes printed, how many? I have found, as I have written in the book, 6,400 passes printed and 7,000 issued. I couldn't understand where the 500 passes came from to distribute. Anything is happening. And that's why I thought that all this has to be somewhere brought before the general public.
So, I mean, I just want to track a little bit away from the book, because there's a lot in the book, and there's incredible perseverance and chasing of this. And sometimes we forget that at heart, and even when I was reading the book, at heart you're actually just a cricket fan. And you're someone who just enjoys the game. So I want to ask you, away from all of this, what is your favorite Mumbai cricket memory? Like, what is it that keeps you going?
3 matches, very important and very interesting. First match, 1971, when Mumbai literally B team defeated Maharashtra A team. Now I'll tell you a story. In IIT, everybody is clever, everybody reads newspaper, everybody is wise. So they say Maharashtra is going to beat Mumbai. I said, how? Why? Mumbai will beat Maharashtra. I'm a die-hard fan of Mumbai cricket. And all my friends had come from Sangli or Pune or other engineering colleges to IIT. So they put a logic before me. See, last year Maharashtra beat Mumbai, maybe by 1 run Monday, full Maharashtra team beat full Mumbai team. Fine. This year, full Maharashtra team had drawn the match without first inning results. And now there are 5 best batsmen from Mumbai are visiting West Indies. So Maharashtra A team will beat Mumbai hollow. What nonsense you are saying? What do you think of yourself? They challenge me. I said, the difference is you read papers and decide what is right or wrong. I know what a cricket is. He said, why? I said, Mumbai B team or second string is as strong as A team. They're in the B second string only because they are not lucky to get selected for A team. And I was proved right. So, team under Sudhir Naik without 5 players like Sardesai, Gavaskar, who stood there tall in West Indies in 1971, Ashok Mankad, Solkar, Ajit Wadekar as a captain. We defeated Maharashtra maybe by 27 runs, but we won. Our second string won. That is my happiest moment in my life, because Mumbai showed their character. In Mumbai, good cricketer has no meaning, no value. Mumbai, khadus cricketer has value. That means one will do better than his best. Anybody will do his best. That is his job. But one who does better than his best is loved by Mumbai. This is proven in university match. There how they graduate. Mysore University, 306 all out. Bombay University, 130 for 5. In Mysore University, Bhagwat Chandrasekhar, India's ace bowler, was bowling. And there comes a man who started his cricket as the 11th batsman in Siddharth College in 1959, called Sudhakar Shetty. At the other end, there was a Papa Karkhanis. He called Papa. In Marathi, I'll say, "Are, ha Chandrasekhar hai kya? Ha ela आपण बाळू गुप्तेला पण मारतो. ह्याला काय?" Result was Sudhakar Shetty batting at number 7, not out 130, Karkhane 60, Mumbai 307 for 6. Second similar match, Mumbai versus Delhi University. Delhi University 361, Mumbai 210 for 8. Walks in number 10 batsman Bharat Narvekar. What is the result? Mumbai 9th wicket fell at 391. Suresh Tigdi 160, Bharat Narvekar 62 not out. These are the things which gives pleasure when you read, and these stories must be told to all newcomers, players who will then take pride in being a Bombay cricketer and show what Bombay cricket really is. And it is really my opinion. I am not a great cricketer, or rather by any standard a cricketer you can call, but mind over your talent, mind also takes equal part in your performance.
So, I mean, like you said, there is this love for cricket in this city that actually transcends, you know, everybody around. I mean, you see the people stopping by to watch Maidan cricket, or just generally, you know, taking time out. And this was in great evidence during when the infamous crane fell at the Wankhede when the lights were happening. I think all of us who remember it from the '96 World Cup. I was a young kid, but I remember, you know, everyday pictures in the papers about this crane lying on the side. And that's one of the fantastic stories of the book that you tell, and you were heavily involved with that. And how the random people from the city, because it was about Mumbai cricket, came forward and helped. You know, can you share a little bit about that?
And it was a real shock. We had a managing committee meeting going on. At about 8 o'clock, a staff member came to the managing committee and said, crane has overturned. Crane had 285 feet long boom, and it had overturned. 18 days to go for the match. This happened on 9th February. On 11th February, World Cup inauguration was to happen in Calcutta. We went there, we saw. I have a friend here who came to my rescue, called Halbe. He phoned one fellow called Saket Agarwal, a nephew of Shashi Ruiya. He came at 12:30 midnight. He knew every crane which operates in Maharashtra and where that crane is now. He said, this crane cannot be used now, so you'll have to get another crane. So he shortlisted two. One at BPCL, not BPCL, Hindustan Petroleum, and one at RCF Alibag. The Alibag crane was not possible to get here because we wanted only tire mounted crane so that turf doesn't get damaged. So he told us. Next day, our chief minister and our president came, did nothing, didn't offer us any help. I'm really sorry to say, but he said, throw this crane out if they can't lift. That's all he said. And put IS officer to see that either we lift the crane tomorrow by 2 o'clock or cut the crane if you like and throw. Now there is a very nice, funny, not funny, but what Indian mind is. Now crane has to be lifted and sent out. Now there were two German directors who came with Shashi Ruiya. The crane was manufactured by DMAG, and they were director of DMAG, who came, who said it is impossible to lift this crane. The tires will burst, there will be accident, and you can't lift this crane. Now there was a Sardarji mechanic, old man. He told that Resham Singh boss, साहब ये फिरंगी लोग है ना, ये फिरंगी लोग को कुछ समझता नहीं है. ये 5 टन का माल उठाने के लिए 25 टन का क्रेन लेके आते हैं, हम उठा के दिखाएंगे. Next day he tried for 2 hours and deadline was 2 p.m. If we don't leave by 2 p.m., IS officer was going to cut the crane into pieces and was to remove. At 1:55, he changed the hooks and different positions and he lifted the crane by calling, he had called 3 cranes, 25, 25 and 30, and we had to lift 80 tons. And he lifted the crane. Nothing had happened because it had fallen on the soft ground, crane went out. And then we were very happy, at least first hurdle was over. Next, I met somebody who told me, Philips can't do the job, so get Petron. Petron fellow said, get L&T. Then I decided to use Chief Minister's name. I took his permission. I told L&T, I want help from you. A.M. Nayak was to go abroad. He said, I will help you. He nominated Desai, and he was really good. He came, he analyzed. He left Wankhede Stadium at 6:30 and in the evening. Next day at 7 o'clock, he phones me and says, my workers from Hazira have started to help you. They will come here by Flying Rani and you be ready to receive them at 10:30. And at 11 o'clock, L&T started the work. Not one penny asked. Everybody helped me as if it was a marriage in their house. It was their duty. I never found, probably after that or before that, I never found such help, and selflessly people are helping. Then I phoned a friend of mine who was the director in Hindustan Petroleum. He said, I will give you, but how will you take it? I said, why not? He said, we have no plate, number plate, we have no license to bring this crane out of refinery. Okay, but that is only 62 meters and we had 62 meters tower. How do we erect? Because tower is 62 meters and crane requires more because it's slanting. Plus you have to go on the top of the tower. So we counted 3 meters height of the crane. We made a ramp of 4 meters with the help of a contractor. We had a roller for the ground. We put earth. We raised the platform and erected, and everything went on time. Thanks to my friend who remained in the background for me to take the credit. Is Halbe. He's present here.
So, clearly, I think that's a great quote for Mumbai cricket, where all matches are like it's a family wedding. I think that's a good one to take from them. So one of the things that when I was reading the book, and as someone who has grown up, let's say, in a slightly more modern world, post 91 liberalization kind of thing, the concept of trusts, associations, this concept of honorary posts, it seems like a hark back to a bygone era when everyone was doing it for the love of the project and all of that. But given the fact that there is such rampant corruption constantly through associations and trusts, around the country, is that a model that no longer works? Is that something that should change? Should people not be honorary anymore? Should they be paid a salary and therefore accountability?
See, I don't believe that corruption is there because people work honorary. There is corruption everywhere. It is up to person whether he wants to be corrupt or he wants to be honest. It has nothing to do. You require first of all association, because then the people can come together and express their views. That is required. So association is required. Now honorary workers, why they come? Because they are perks. They can, while representing the association, they can stay in 5-star hotel, which they had not seen in their life before. Plus power coming with it, in the association. And most important is they can bask in the glory of test cricketers. They can get their photographs and they will be proud to show their photographs to everybody. Like I am proud that I received a prize from Wadekar, I received a prize from Polly Umrigar. People are happy to be standing next to Sachin Tendulkar, standing next to Gavaskar, standing next to a lot of heroes. Even if I'm sure Dravid comes here, who is from Karnataka, there will be 10,000 people to watch him on the ground. So that is fact. But association is required. But I agree with you. With honorary workers, they should take help of management. They should run the cricket as manager. Just because you play cricket, you can't run association. Just because you say I am interested in cricket, you can't run association. It requires expertise in finance, in management, in contracts. There are various things which today you are required to know when you are in the committee. Unfortunately, or rather first to start with, fortunately, this has been suggested by Justice Lodha, accepted by Supreme Court. In Supreme Court order, the management structure of Cricket Association is mentioned. Even then, to keep, and they don't want to share any secrets, not a single cricket association wants a professional management. That is the fact of life. That is the way we are. We have to stand up.
Okay, just before this is my last question before we wrap up. I mean, there's a lot of journeys to police stations, journeys to courts. I mean, a lot of the book is about you spending that much time trying to get stuff done. And my question to you is, A, where does the drive come from? Two is, at what cost? I mean, some of the stuff that I was reading and the fact that it happens again and again and again, and I'm thinking, is it worth the hassle? Like, why would someone want to do that? Why would you do
We have got a different philosophy. I feel, with my friend feels also the same thing, God has been kind to us. They have given us more than we deserve. So we have to give that extra back to society. And unless you start with conviction, and I remember there a letter written by Abraham Lincoln's father to his headmaster, that please teach my son to stand up against the majority view, and that drives me.
And that's a great quote to kind of wrap this part of the section up. Are there any questions from the audience? Does anyone have anything? Because we could take a couple of questions, I think, from the audience if anyone has anything. I don't know how many people have read the book since it's just been launched. But in case there are some questions, then we can take them. Otherwise, we can move on. I'll hand over to Aditya. Yes.
Sorry?
Why is the book called Bouncer?
Bouncer, I had 3 reasons. One reason I have not mentioned, but there are 3 reasons. One is, if when you bowl bouncer, you put the batsman under pressure, put him on the back foot. So, with my questions raised in the association, at least to some extent, at least 5%, 10%, the management is on the back foot. 1. 2, they tried to throw me out of the association on 4 occasions. Every time they failed. I bounced back. Every time they tried to throw me out. So, this is bouncer. And 4th bouncer, third bouncer, the name I have not written in the book because I didn't find it appropriate to write. But I will say that bouncer in the bar protects good people from bad. So that was my way. But I thought that it may not be appropriate to write this, so I have not written. But at the back of my mind, that also was one of the reasons.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bouncer of Mumbai cricket, keeping us safe, Mr. Ravi Mandrekar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kwasar. And as we have already heard, The books will be available for purchase at a discounted rate at the entrance. Please, after this event, go and buy a copy. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Mr. Rajeev Shrikhande of Granthali, who is known for introducing books in various languages to Indian audiences through a program called Global Sahitya Safar on YouTube. I would like to ask him to say a few words why they, as a publisher, chose to publish this book.
Good evening. I think nearly everything is done by now. The book has been published. We heard the Honorable Chief Guest thoughts about the book. We even heard the writer himself, Mr. Ravi Mandrekar, tell us what prompted him to write this book, what drove him, what compelled him. So all this is done, but I am here to talk on the behalf of the publisher of this book, Granthali. And I would only take a few more minutes of your time, not much. Granthali is not only a book publishing house, but it is a movement to spread the love for reading among people by promoting good books on diverse subjects, and that's what we have been doing for the last 46 years. With this objective in mind, we have always encouraged and promoted new writers. For your information, out of about 1200 books published by Granthali till date, about 850 books are written by new writers. That's what we have published. This shows Granthali's commitment to this cause. Since spreading knowledge is also one of the main objectives of Granthali, it has published books on varied subject matters, ranging from oil exploration techniques to advancement in genetic science. You can see that the spectrum is pretty large. Granthali's focus is primarily to publish books in Marathi. That is our focus. But we have also published books in English. For example, just a couple of years back, we published a book written by one of the former judges of Bombay High Court, Mr. Roshan Dalvi, called Tangible Justice, and that was published only in English. The present book, that is Bouncer by Mr. Mandrekar, is also published in 2 languages, in Marathi and English, so as to reach wider audience. Mr. Mandrekar is a first-time writer, and the book tells about the functioning of one of the prominent cricket management bodies of our country over the last 30 years. Many books are written about cricket and cricketers, but I think rarely a book has been written about this aspect of the game. Secondly, I must tell you, what struck the editors at Granthali most when they received the raw manuscript of this book was the passion with which this book is written. Really, the passion, the conviction, and the clarity is evident in every word of this chronicle. It is also a very honest book. The tone is uncompromisingly righteous, but it is never jarring. On the top of it, it is an extremely readable book. Mr. Mandrekar has expressed himself very candidly about what he experienced during his association of this cricket body, and this candidness is very refreshing. Lastly, this book documents the functioning of a prominent cricket management organization of our country over a significant period of time. Documentation is always beneficial. Nay, it is extremely important. In a country where the game of cricket is not only a sport, but almost like a religious cult, the importance of such documentation cannot be overstated. So, considering all these things, it is no surprise that Granthali has published such an unusual book, and that too by a first-time writer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shrikhande. That about wraps it up. I would like to thank our Chief Guest, Justice Patel, for gracing us with his presence today. I would also like to thank Mr. Hinglaspurkar and Mr. Shrikhande for their time and words today and for publishing this book. Guests from the sporting arena, guests from other industries who have come here and graced us with their presence. Thank you so much. Thank you in particular to the Bombay Gymkhana and President Hussain for this wonderful venue, and also to the staff who have done an excellent job in getting it ready and managing it. Thanks to Mr. Anand Shinde for help in organizing this function. And of course, thanks to all of you for coming here and making this event successful. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.